So good afternoon, everyone. We're going to be discussing some emerging technologies which will help you in this upcoming prelims exam, UPSC Prelims 2026. So we are going to talk about some specific topics in science and technology, which are current, which are emerging, where a lot of development is taking place, so that you are in that space where you don't miss out on some very key aspects of development which are taking place. Okay, of course, at this stage, you must have read through the basic portion, the static part, and beyond that, of course, I'm sure you're preparing current affairs also, but there are certain niche aspects which are very vital from the point of view of the exam. So we've picked out some of them. It's a very selective session, so some very key selective technologies, a few of them we've picked up. We'll be highlighting and discussing the aspects around them. And of course, we'll also be talking about what kind of questions can probably be picked up from there. So the first aspect which we are starting with is biotechnology. And in this, there are a number of developments which are taking place. So some key examples we are going to pick up from here. And a very big focus in this would be the developments happening in India. We are sitting for the Indian Civil Services exam, so whenever the questions are asked, if there's some development specific to India, that is automatically more important, more prominently highlighted, and a greater chance of that being asked as a question. So the first technology which we're going to talk about is DNA editing, or we call it gene editing, or it's also called genome editing. So there are a number of terms for this. Very prominent topic. A few years ago, it was given the Nobel Prize also, and a number of questions have been asked. And the very big significance of this is that this is having a lot of applications, a lot of use of this particular technology can happen. Now, DNA or gene is basically the genetic material which is going to decide all the characteristics of an organism, all the information which is there, which is needed for functioning of a living organism. That information is there in your DNA. Now, we have specific segments of DNA which we call gene, which are responsible for individual characteristics. Like there will be a gene which will be deciding your blood group. There will be a gene which will be deciding how your hair color is going to work. So individually, we have the technology now through which you can add, delete, or replace genes. All of these three things can be done. We can add a gene, like let's say there is a disease in which a gene is missing, you add that. Let's say there's an extra gene, we can remove that, or the gene is not working properly, so we can replace that. And there are a number of ways to do this editing. One of the most successful technologies is CRISPR-Cas9 technology. This was the specific technology where 2 questions have been asked in the recent few years by UPSC, and it was given the Nobel Prize also. Now, why it's important for us here is because India is also trying to develop it, so it becomes even more important. What is done in this is that you have this cell, any cell of the organism which you want to edit. From there, you pick out or decide which part of DNA needs to be edited, which gene, depending on what specific characteristic you want to change. Like this red part is the one which will be edited. For this editing, you need a guidance molecule. You need something which will take you to this part, which will tell you, okay, this is the gene. Like let's say I want to change somebody's eye color. So I will prepare a guidance molecule which will take me to the eye color gene so that I can edit at that point. Second part is a DNA cutting enzyme. Something to cut DNA, a specific dedicated enzyme will be needed for that. And once it is cut, then all options are open. You can add, you can delete, you can replace. The cell is also capable of repairing the whole thing on its own. Now, the potentials of this are enormous. any kind of disease which you have. We have a lot of genetic diseases, a lot of genetic defects which happen because of defective genes. This is now a sure shot treatment for those diseases. You remove the defective gene, you give in a normal functional gene through gene editing using CRISPR, the disease is gone. And usually these diseases otherwise have no treatment. Some of them are even fatal. So in that sense, this is where future of all kinds of gene defects will be treated with CRISPR. And one particular case of this being used in India is CRISPR technology for sickle cell anemia. You heard about sickle cell anemia? Yes? So, sickle cell anemia is a disease related to the blood of a person. In blood, specifically the red blood cells. So, what happens is that red blood cells, their shape becomes deformed. They become something like this. This is called a sickle's shape. And this disease is very prevalent in India. The reason why this disease is very prevalent in India is because there is this idea that for gene defects in general, whenever there are diseases because of defects in genes, if endogamy is practiced. Endogamy, what does that mean? Endogamy means when marriages happen within blood relatives. Same family lines mein, if marriages are happening, that is endogamy. And wherever endogamy is practiced, there is a higher chance of gene defects. So in India, when it comes to sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease, there is one specific community, which is the tribal community of India, where there is large scale practice of endogamy. Because if there's a tribal community, let's say they have 10,000 people, their marriages are happening within those 10,000 people only. So whatever defective genes are there in their lines, they keep continuing, and because of that, there is a disproportionate spread of the disease. The number of people who suffer from sickle cell anemia in the tribal population is very high, and that is why it is a big cause of concern. These abnormal shaped red blood cells, what happens with them is that they first of all carry less oxygen. That's one job which red blood cells do. So there's going to be less oxygen supply in the body. Then they can get stuck in the blood vessels. They can cause a lot of pain and discomfort and even death of a person. So there is otherwise no good or no proper treatment of this disease. Like we can give some help for pain, we can give new blood to them, blood transfusion can be done. But if we can remove the defective gene, that will be like a perfect treatment. And that is what has been developed by this new technology, which is BIRSA 101. So this is CRISPR. So CRISPR internationally was being used for treating sickle cell disease. Okay, UK has done a number of cases for treating people with sickle cell disease, but the problem with that is that it's a very expensive technology. Whatever they are creating, if you want to use that, if you want to get that treatment, it's very expensive. So this is a very significant move in terms of technology advancement in gene editing, where the technology is being developed in India. Completely 100% indigenous technology. So it has been developed by CSIR, Institute of Genomics and Integrated Biology. And another very significant move when it comes to actual use of a technology is this, that most of the technologies that are developed, like this is a government institution, it has created, it has proven that, okay, we've made this CRISPR for treating sickle cell anemia. But who's going to do the production? Okay, so for this is an inbuilt, this was an inbuilt plan that they have given technology transfer to an Indian startup, which is Serum Institute of India. So this is a private sector company, they are now going to be doing the manufacturing. And this will make it many, many times affordable as compared to the technology which is there in US, which is there in China. So this would be very, very helpful for a lot of people in India, especially because we have high incidence of this in our tribal population. Why the name Birsa 101? So we have Lord Birsa Munda. I'm sure you've heard about him, right? So he's a tribal leader, and it was his 150th birth anniversary when this particular technology was launched. So to give emphasis to him or his position, Birsa 101 was named after him. This has started production, this has got approval, and once this is successfully done, we can even replicate this technology for other gene defects, other kind of genetic diseases, extending the idea from sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease to other diseases also. So that's one very big application of gene editing and CRISPR in particular. One thing specifically about CRISPR which I want to tell you additionally is CRISPR has not been invented by human beings. CRISPR is a natural mechanism which is present in bacteria. We've learned this from bacteria and we've developed a gene editing technology. Okay, so this is like an application of a real life process for some benefit for human beings, and that's ultimately the goal of all technology also. The technology should be helping making human life better. Beyond this, we are going to talk about one more very key example of gene editing technology. Again, something which India has indigenously created, and a very big achievement in terms of technology for India. You might have heard about this. This is CAR T-cell therapy. Okay. Now, to take you to what exactly is CAR T-cell, I need to give you a little background in immunity. Do you understand what is immunity? क्या होता है immunity? Power to resist some unwanted things, some harmful things, right? Body's basic self-defense mechanism. So body can protect itself against harmful things. But while doing this defense, there is an inbuilt capacity where your body will differentiate between self and non-self. The body will not attack its own cells. Under any condition, this is a basic training which the immune system has कि अपने cells को attack नहीं करना है, बाहर वाले cells को attack करना है. Now, one of the cells of your immune system, which are a part of immune system, are the T cells. What they do is they basically capture harmful cells, harmful things. जैसे let's say एक virus है. So they are going to simply capture this virus and then they are going to destroy it. It becomes a part, it comes inside, it attaches to T cells and then it is destroyed. Okay, this is its mechanism. Now, based on this property of T cells, we are creating a technology to fight cancer using T cells. We want कि जैसे T cells virus को attack कर रहा है, it should attack cancer cells. What are cancer cells, or what is cancer? Malfunction of the cells in terms of uncontrolled cell growth. So, or uncontrolled cell division. So cells start dividing. One cell divides into 2, then 4, then 16, and they don't stop. Normally, a cell has to have a limitation that, okay, this is the number of cells we need, this is how much you're supposed to divide. But sometimes that property is lost, and that's what is cancer. The cells keep dividing and increasing in number, and like if this is an organ, if they start growing here, they'll probably form an abnormal lump. ये body के ही cells हैं, but the problem is that they are not stopping. They are keeping the cell division is going on, their number is increasing. So we want your T cells to attack these cancer cells. But T cells will not normally do that. Why? क्योंकि ये तो अपनी body के cells हैं. This is still self. So this will not be attacked. So we have to do something to change this aspect or to make T cells attack the cancer cells, and we are doing that through gene editing and creating special types of T cells which will attack the cancer cells. Okay. So what you do is, how you start this process. So you remove the blood of a person. Blood cells, T cells are a type of white blood cells. So they're present in your blood. So you, from the blood of the person, you will get these T cells. Now, what you're going to do is, you are going to add a gene in these T cells, and that specific gene will be for a special receptor called chimeric antigen receptor. Basically, how T cells attack certain things is that it has receptors for recognizing certain cells. And the receptors are usually for the harmful things. कि बैक्टीरिया को आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए रिसेप्टर है, वायरस को आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए रिसेप्टर है. ऑल दोस रिसेप्टर्स आर देयर फॉर द हार्मफुल थिंग्स. तो हम इसमें एडिट करके वी आर गोइंग टू पुट इन द जीन which will add this special receptor, and this is the receptor for cancer cells. When we add this gene to the T cells will have this receptor, and this will give them the ability to recognize the cancer cells. So you insert the gene for CAR, which is chimeric antigen receptor. It's just the name of the receptor, and then you get new type of T cells, जिसको बोलते हैं CAR T cells. इसमें CAR receptor additional है, and this is now a modified version of that T cells. Now in the lab you are doing this process, so you can make millions of copies of these T cells, and once these special CAR T cells are ready, you're going to put it back into the person. So in a way, you're using the person's own T cells to treat him. These are going to go into the body, and then they will recognize. So cancer cells में जैसे एक side receptor है, the other part which is going to fit into this receptor, that's called antigens. So those cancer cells will be recognized through these antigens, and the CAR T cells will now destroy the cancer cells. So body's own T cells, or the part of body's own immune system, can destroy the cancer cells, and this is going to be a very successful treatment as compared to a lot of other treatments which we have. Like, what is the normal treatment which people do for cancer? Chemotherapy होता है, ठीक है? Chemotherapy is some drugs, some specific type of drugs which will destroy these dividing cells. Now in that the problem is there is a lot of damage to other parts also. ठीक है? जैसे बहुत common एक symptom जो आपको सबको पता है, hair loss होता है. ठीक है? That means वो जो chemo chemical है, that's also damaging the hair cells. Here that's not going to happen. This is a very targeted approach. ये जाएगा और सिर्फ cancer cell को मारेगा. Okay, and India has, this technology has been there for some time, and now India has created its indigenous technology. All of these are very recent developments, and the technology, the product, this has been approved in India for use. This is called NextCar 19. India's first indigenous CAR T cell therapy, and this has been developed for blood cancers. So there are many types of cancers, I'm sure you know. Just part में abnormal growth हो रही है, that's the type of cancer. The first development they've done for blood cancers, and if this works in the future, we can develop this kind of a treatment for other types of cancers also. So there is this company, ImmunoAct. So it's a private company, a private startup, which was incubated under IIT Bombay and Tata Memorial Hospital, where all the trials and everything have happened. And of course, the Department of Biotechnology has supported it, and there is a specific agency of the government, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, which is a part of this program. This was a very significant achievement, and the advantage of this also, because this is indigenous technology produced in India, it's going to be very highly affordable, because the cost of such treatments is in millions otherwise. Okay, so even if we have this technology, like if we talk about the global scale, ki, okay, this technology is there, but it's not helping a lot of people because of the sheer barrier of cost. Okay, so doing this indigenously gives you more control. You can develop this technology for specific type of diseases or cancers which are more prevalent in India, an Indian-centric approach, and of course, the cost factor, which is very big, which is very significant whenever technology is involved. ठीक है? Sorry, फिर से आप बोलिए एक बार जी. COP30 में क्या हुआ था? आई थिंक इसका क्लाइमेट से तो कोई वेरिएशन नहीं होना चाहिए, बिकॉज दिस इज अ जेनेटिक डिजीज. सो आई एम नॉट श्योर कि उसका एनवायरनमेंट कॉन्फ्रेंस से क्या रेफरेंस हो सकता है. ठीक है, वैसे ये डिजीज अदरवाइज ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज में, सब ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज में इन जनरल प्रेवलेंट है, अफ्रीकन नेशंस में है, एशियन कंट्रीज में है सिकल सेल एनीमिया. ठीक है, ओके. सो अनदर very important technology, recombinant DNA technology. Now this technology has been around for a very long time. What is emerging in terms of this technology is the products or the outcomes or whatever we are creating out of it. So recombinant DNA technology क्या होता है कि we take one DNA fragment from one organism, we take another piece of DNA. This vector basically is a piece of DNA which is going to carry this first piece, and they both can be joined to create a new piece of DNA which did not exist earlier in nature, and this is called recombinant DNA. So we can combine DNA from two sources, and this can help us create or produce anything which we want. And currently in our laboratories we are producing a lot of things using this technology. Like we're going to take one example of producing a hormone and how we can basically do it. So there are news updates on products, on production of a lot of things. Recombinant proteins is one very dominant area where this is being used, or different kinds of hormones, or basically anything in the body. And we also have its big application in making GM crops. We're going to take that example also. First, let's talk about this hormone example. So let's say we want to produce human growth hormone. So there's this hormone called human growth hormone which is needed for overall growth and development in the body, and this is used by a lot of people for bodybuilding purposes. In general, if there is some problem with the growth also, then also it can be used. Or you can think of another hormone like, let's say, insulin. Everybody's heard about insulin. ठीक है, insulin किसको देते? कौन सी disease में? Diabetes. डायबिटीज, ठीक है ना, सबसे कॉमन डिजीज है जिसको बहुत हाई सिवियर केस ऑफ डायबिटीज होता है, उसको इंसुलिन इंजेक्शंस भी that person is supposed to take. So this is how something like that can be produced. So you take a human cell, all the genes are present in that, you take out that gene. Now this is one piece. The second piece we usually take from bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled organisms. They're easier to manipulate in the lab, and they have special DNA called plasmid. This plasmid has a lot of applications. One more here is making vaccines. Now this plasmid DNA, you take this, you cut this open, you join both of this. This is a new piece, recombinant DNA. One piece is from human beings, the second piece is from bacteria, and then you're going to put it back into the bacteria. This bacteria can produce human growth hormone now, which you can extract and then use. So just like this, आपको जो बनवाना है, आपको इंसुलिन बनाना है, आपको ह्यूमन ग्रोथ हार्मोन बनाना है, you want to make some enzyme which is produced in the body, anything, any product, not just for human beings, from plants, from anywhere you want to extract any product, you can simply make it in the lab through this process. You just need the gene for that, and you're going to add it into an existing structure, and that is what will give you the desired product. This is one of the most widely used technology for creation of a lot of products in biotechnology. Like biotechnology is now being applied over a number of areas, and this is one of the key technologies which is used. We'll talk about one very major application, which is GM crops. You heard about GM crops? पहले तो इसमें दो words हैं which I want you to think about or know. First word is genetically modified crops. Sometimes these things kind of become a technical trap when it comes to prelims questions. So एक है GM crops या genetically modified crops. This means any crop, any particular plant in which something has been done to its genetic material. Like let's say किसी plant में आपने gene editing कर दी. Or let's say there is a plant which ripens very quickly. Now you have removed that ripening gene from the plant. So the plant will have a longer shelf life, or its fruit will have a longer shelf life. तो वो gene editing हो गया, वो भी genetically modified crop होगा. And there are many other things which can be done for manipulating of genetic material. But there is one specific term which is also used in this, and this is the one you need to know. Transgenic crops. Transgenic is a part of genetically modified only, but with a very specific feature that it has other species gene. जैसे बैक्टीरिया में ह्यूमन बीन का जीन ऐड किया था आपने, that bacteria now is transgenic. It means it is receiving a gene from another species. We can do this in crops also. कि किसी क्रॉप में किसी डिफरेंट स्पीशीज का जीन हम ऐड कर सकते हैं. And the most successful example of that, which we are using in India, is BT cotton. Have you heard about BT cotton? So BT cotton has been around for more than a decade now. It's being widely used. 95% of the cotton which is being used in India is BT cotton. Okay, or UPSC has already asked 2-3 questions on this. This is a very prominent idea. What was done is, so this cotton crop, it was being attacked by bollworms. So this is a pest which was attacking cotton, and they tried everything. Nothing was working on this pest, and there was huge large-scale destruction. So they created this BT cotton using recombinant DNA technology. अब ये इसमें क्या था? They found a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis. This bacteria produced a special protein which could kill the pest. So to kill this pest, a bacteria produced a specific protein. So they took that gene from bacteria, the gene which has the information to produce this particular protein or this particular toxin, and they put it into cotton. Now cotton automatically produces this particular protein which kills the pest, and cotton is protected. Now when the pest will come and attack, it will itself be killed by that protein. ये पूरे इंडिया में यही ग्रो करता है. ऑलमोस्ट 95% ऑफ द लैंड में, बहुत सारे जगह पे जहां भी कॉटन ग्रो हो रहा है, इट इज बीइंग only this variety is being used. There are a number of other crops also using similar technology, like BT brinjal, exactly same technology for pest resistance, but this is still waiting to get approval. Okay, there is another product in India, a transgenic, ये transgenic crop है. You understand how this is transgenic? Because it has a gene from bacteria. कॉटन है पर कॉटन में बैक्टीरिया का जीन है, ट्रांसजेनिक प्रोडक्ट हो गया. Another product is mustard, which is like the closest one, which is closest to approval. So GM mustard, मस्टर्ड पे, ब्रिंजल पे, कॉटन पे, सब पे क्वेश्चंस आ चुके हैं यूपीएससी में. सो मस्टर्ड जो है, जिसमें भी बैक्टीरिया का जीन है, ये भी रिकॉम्बिनेंट product hai, and the goal of this is high yield. Like in cotton, it was pest resistance, this is for higher yield. Okay. So further, one more application of recombinant DNA technology, or in general technology in biotechnology in this sector, is production of vaccines. Do you understand what is a vaccine? कब लगाते हैं वैक्सीन? They are not medicines. That's the important thing. So vaccines are used before we get a disease. Medicines are used after we get a disease to treat that disease. Vaccine is something which you give so that you don't get the disease in the first place. Now, how that is going to work is, basically, it is a training for your immune system. You introduce something in your body which is like a training for the immune system, so that immune system can remember it for future and tackle it properly. And there are different ways in which we can give vaccines. Basically, we have to give something from the pathogen, from the disease causing bacteria, virus, fungus, whatever it is, so that it can prevent the disease, it can stimulate the immune system, create memory against this, because the second time when the same thing comes, the immune system's response is more severe. If something comes to attack the body the first time, the body will mildly respond to it. पर अगर दूसरी बार वही चीज आ जाए, then your body's response is very fierce and it's so strong that it can avoid diseases. So that is why we produce different kinds of vaccines, and while we produce those different kinds of vaccine, these are some of the key processes or key types of vaccines. Vaccine technology is very significant, especially after COVID. This became very prominent. Because in COVID, there was a need to produce vaccines, and different types of vaccines were derived. So there was a lot of work which was done. This is a highlighted theme in terms of medical technologies, and very important from the point of view of the exam also. इसमें कई prelims question आ चुके हैं, इसमें mains questions भी आ चुके हैं. Okay. Let's talk about these types. The first is live attenuated vaccine. Live means you keep the organism alive. Attenuated means you make it weak. Okay. And in this, they've not written one example, but सबसे commonly known example and very widely used in India is oral polio vaccine. This all of you have received also, right? Polio drops. ठीक है? तो polio drops में क्या होता है? Polio virus होता है. The virus is alive, but you make it weak. Because you know you can't give a live virus to a person also. The person will get polio. तो हम उसको weak करते हैं that it doesn't cause the disease, but it's sufficient for the immune system to get stimulated, so that in future, when real polio virus comes at any point, your body will be prepared to give a very fierce attack against it. This is live attenuated vaccine. Second method is a dead vaccine. Inactivated, killed. Killed भी बोलते हैं इसको. Or inactivated vaccine. So what it does is, this contains killed pathogens. Now think about again polio, जैसे polio का इसमें भी example है. There is an injectable type of polio also, the one you take through an injection. So now you have that same polio virus, but it's going to be dead. You kill that. Because it is dead, it will not cause the disease. But even that dead body, your body can recognize. Some part of its membrane, some proteins it has, some polysaccharide, something it will recognize and it will remember that for future. So that will be sufficient to keep immune system stimulated. Third is mRNA vaccine. Now this was the biggest breakthrough which had happened post-COVID. For the first time in the world, mRNA vaccines were created, and after that this was given the Nobel Prize also. And in future also it is believed that any time we need an emergency use vaccine, we need to make a vaccine quickly, this will be our vaccine of choice. और इस पे अब बहुत काम हो रहा है, बहुत सारे डिजीजेस के लिए mRNA वैक्सीन बना रहे हैं. These two examples which are already there, Pfizer and Moderna, these are both COVID-19 vaccines. So what is done here is, like, you might understand this fundamental process of how genetic material works. So your genes or genetic information is in the form of DNA. This DNA produces mRNA, and mRNA produces proteins. So ultimately how genetic material shows itself, यहाँ हम use करते हैं word gene expression. It is through production of proteins. It's a very central static idea when it comes to working of genetic material or genetics in general. So इसमें अब opportunity है, तीनों type की vaccine बन सकती है तीनों चीज़ों से. जैसे कि let's say we understand, we study which part of the pathogen your immune system will recognize. Let's say that part is a protein. जैसे कोविड में अगर आपको याद है तो कोविड में एक स्पेसिफिक प्रोटीन थी, स्पाइक प्रोटीन. ठीक है. So if we just take out the spike protein and give it to a person, your immune system will still be stimulated. That is good enough for training. तो अगर आपने प्रोटीन यूज कर लिया तो उसको बोलते हैं सब यूनिट वैक्सीन. बट इफ यू फॉलो दीज स्टेप्स, let's say instead of the protein you give the DNA which has the information to produce the vaccine, to produce the protein, तो ये हो जाएगी DNA वैक्सीन. और अगर आपने DNA नहीं दिया, you've given the mRNA, this is your point of starting, so this becomes mRNA vaccine. mRNA goes into the body, it produces the protein, body remembers this protein for future. You give DNA, it makes mRNA, mRNA makes proteins, that's also remembered in the body. So it's just different ways to do the same thing, ultimately stimulating the immune system. And whatever you give, that is your kind of vaccine. So they are all very significant vaccines. We have both DNA का example नहीं है इसमें, but that's another you can remember. So mRNA vaccine, then you have this subunit or protein vaccines which are there, and then you have this viral vector vaccine which is a recombinant vaccine. What we do in this is, we see recombination में there were two parts coming from two organisms. So what you do is you take the gene responsible for stimulating the immune system. जैसे suppose अब ये जो vaccines के example है, एस्ट्राजेनेका की इंडिया में ने भी अपना version बनाया था, which you've all heard about. Maybe you got vaccinated also through this, Covishield. Then Johnson & Johnson and Sputnik 5. So what they did was they took COVID-19 they took COVID-19 virus and they took out that part of its DNA which has the information to produce that specific protein which will stimulate the immune system. तो वो वाला जो specific gene है COVID-19 का, they took it and they put it into another virus which would be safe, and then they gave that virus. So because वो recombination में चला गया, तो it will still do its job of stimulating the immune system, but it's safe because you're giving a different virus and you're not giving COVID-19 virus. So this is another significant example of how recombinant technology will work. UPSC has asked questions on this, but they've asked broader questions. Like one question they asked is, recombinant technology can be used to make vaccines. This was one of the statements. Then another statement they had asked is, which of these can be used as vectors? So usme bacteria and viruses, these were the two examples. So both of these are very ideal vectors because they're easier to manipulate in the lab, easier to grow in the lab. So that's why they are mostly used. Bacteria wala example हमने growth hormone wala, we just saw that, and here for vaccines we have virus as vectors. ठीक है. They've also asked during that peak COVID period, they also asked questions on specific platforms कि Sputnik 5 जो है वो कौन से type का vaccine है, things like that. Is it a viral vector vaccine or is it an mRNA vaccine? ऐसे वाले questions भी आए हैं, but then that becomes very current specific in the sense, right? But all of these technologies you will find something to do with some kinds of vaccine. So this you should really make an effort to understand how what is vaccine and how it is supposed to work. ठीक है? 100% सक्सेसफुल कुछ नहीं होता है. See, when it comes to COVID, we were in a very tricky pickle-like situation that we just wanted to get rid of the pandemic as soon as possible. So we were not looking for a very effective 100% lifelong protection. We wanted कि अगर कुछ months का भी protection मिल जाए तो the pandemic can have a break. Herd immunity, yeah, the idea. So in that sense, for COVID, because the virus was changing very quickly, if you remember, alpha, beta, delta, omicron, जिसको हम बोलते थे new wave आ गया है, ठीक है? So it was modifying very quickly, and in that sense, नए pathogen के लिए या नए virus के लिए वो original vaccine नहीं काम करती. There is a very high chance that the vaccine might not work. So we wanted कि जितनी देर काम कर सकती है बिना बहुत ज़्यादा side effects के it should work. हाँ, in terms of comparative efficacy or efficiency, these mRNA vaccines worked the best out of all the different COVID-19 vaccines. Heart problem तो बिना vaccine के भी हो रहा है, ठीक है? एस्ट्राजेनेका का बोल रहे हो ना, एस्ट्राजेनेका का ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी वाला जो पार्ट है वो इट गॉट हाईलाइटेड वाज बिकॉज दे गेव अ सेल्फ डिक्लेरेशन. जो कोविशील्ड का मॉडल है जो ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी का रिसर्च था, उन्होंने बाद में ये एक्सेप्ट किया था कि अभी कुछ टाइम पहले पब्लिकली दैट देयर इज वन वेरी रेयर चांस दैट सम पीपल माइट फेस सम क्लॉटिंग डिफेक्ट्स, सम क्लॉटिंग डिजीजेस बिकॉज ऑफ द वैक्सीन. But that is also something which we are still trying to study for the virus itself. कि बिना vaccine के भी जो virus था, that it is still being said that brought a lot of post-viral complications which people are experiencing today also. Long-term impacts in terms of their mental health, neurological health, heart health, all of that is there. But it's still being studied and nothing is like very absolute in terms of this. Okay. Last idea here in biotechnology, stem cells. You heard about stem cells? Again, very significant, very big technology being used on a very wide scale globally and in India also. Most of the development here when it comes to stem cells is in private sector only. We just need to take a look at the idea of what exactly is a stem cell. So any cell which can replicate itself, replicate means divide, make copies of itself, make more cells and differentiate into different types. Just think of the cell of an embryo. You understand what is an embryo? Right? Early stages of life. So that is the stage where all the parts of the body are still being formed. So the embryo will form more cells. It will keep dividing. Like your life starts with one single cell. Today you have billions of cells in your body. That means those cells could increase in number and differentiate into different types. Those cells of the embryo, उसी से आपका head बना है, neck बना है, bones बने हैं, liver, kidney, everything is formed from there. So any cell having that potential is called a stem cell. And in this, the possibility which is being created through stem cells is that we can treat any part of the body, we can restore any defective, damaged, degenerative part, और उसको बोलते हैं regenerative medicine. जैसे for example, somebody's liver is not working. We can use stem cells, create new liver cells, give that to a person. Just like you think of organ transplant, this is something from in which we can actually create those organs, those parts in the lab and give it to a person. That is the big potential of stem cells. And in terms of use, any part of the body can be repaired. Let's say किसी को बहुत extensive burns हो गए, ठीक है, a person got burned and the top layer of the skin has been completely lost. So आप stem cells लो, new skin cells बनाओ, you give it to the person's skin is repaired. This is very widely being used in bone and muscle injuries. जो स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन यूज करते हैं, स्पोर्ट्स मेडिसिन में इसका बहुत प्रोमिनेंट यूज है कि दे हैव सिवियर डैमेज, मसल ब्रेकडाउन हो गया है, बोन्स में बहुत सिवियर फ्रैक्चर है, टेक स्टेम सेल्स, क्रिएट न्यू सेल्स, रिपेयर दैट. इंडिया में वन स्पेसिफिक एरिया, ये तो है ही है, बोन्स एंड मसल्स वाला तो बहुत प्रोमिनेंट है. सेकेंड एरिया विच ऑल ऑफ यू आई एम श्योर हैव हर्ड, क्योंकि मूवीज में, टीवी शोज में बहुत पॉपुलरली यूज होता है, बोन मैरो ट्रांसप्लांट सुना सबने? अच्छा, क्रिस तो मुझे नहीं पता, बट यस, बहुत सारे मूवीज में दे काइंड ऑफ क्रिएट अ वेरी क्रिटिकल सिचुएशन कि अब बोन मैरो ट्रांसप्लांट करना चाहिए एंड मैचिंग नहीं हो रही एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो बोन मैरो का कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है? बोन मैरो इज अ प्लेस वेयर स्टेम सेल्स फॉर ब्लड फॉर्मेशन आर प्रेजेंट. If we understand how or the types of stem cells which we have, the three categories. First one I have told you, embryo. So we have embryonic stem cells. All the cells of the embryo, they can produce any cell of the body because that's the developmental stage. All the parts of the body are still being formed. Even after birth, we have reserves of stem cells in our body. They are called adult stem cells. Because you know body undergoes repair, damage, destruction. So body के पास भी ये property है कि वो कुछ new cells बना सकती है. So bone marrow is one example of adult stem cells, and bone marrow makes blood cells. Blood cells कौन से होते हैं? Red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. ठीक है, so all these three cells will be formed in the bone marrow. Bone marrow is present inside the long bones of your body. Hands and feet के bone में bone marrow is present. So there you have stem cells which will form new blood cells. अगर किसी को कोई blood related disorder है, so we can give new blood cells, इंट्रोड्यूस दैट इनटू द बोन मैरो, या फिर अगर बोन मैरो डिफेक्टिव है तो उसका बोन मैरो निकाल के किसी दूसरे का बोन मैरो डाल सकते हैं. दैट्स द बोन मैरो ट्रांसप्लांट विच इज देयर, एंड दोज स्टेम सेल्स विल स्टार्ट प्रोड्यूसिंग नॉर्मल फंक्शनल ब्लड सेल्स, वॉट एवर टाइप ऑफ ब्लड सेल यू वांट, वॉट एवर काइंड ऑफ डिफेक्ट इज देयर, और वो जो भी अंडरलाइंग ब्लड रिलेटेड डिसऑर्डर होगा वो करेक्ट हो जाएगा. जैसे sickle cell anemia, we studied about that red blood cells are defective. This could be used in that also. If somebody's red blood cells are defective, that means the bone marrow is producing defective red blood cells. तो आप उसका bone marrow निकालो किसी और का. Of course, you have to do a basic matching. You put the bone marrow into that person. The new bone marrow will start producing new normal functional red blood cells, and sickle cell anemia will be cured. ठीक है, so like this in blood related disorders, this bone marrow transplant is happening on a great deal. Second area is bone and muscle injuries, but in terms of potential, even if it's not being used now, it can correct every type of disease. किसी को brain है, Alzheimer's disease है, wear and tear of the brain is happening, you give new brain cells, Alzheimer's will be cured, which otherwise has no cure in the world presently. That's why a lot of emphasis, a lot of research, a lot of development is happening in India and globally also. And a lot of hospitals and medical institutions are doing this. They're trying to work around different kinds of stem cells, and that's why it's an important emerging technology which will revolutionize treatments in the future. ठीक है? Okay. क्या आप बोलते हैं? राइजोसोम, नहीं राइजोसोम कोई टर्म नहीं है. Probably the term is मिस, आपको कुछ वो याद है, WBCs का एक टेक्निकल नेम है which is called leukocytes. This is the term for them. और एक सेल के अंदर स्ट्रक्चर होता है राइबोसोम्स. This is inside the cell. This is a special structure which makes proteins in the cell. ठीक है? Okay. Now we talk about space. So space sector is one area where India is very advanced in terms of all other technologies. जैसे let's say कि हम stem cell में भी बहुत advanced नहीं है. Let's say हम defense technologies में भी advanced नहीं है. हम let's say AI में भी advanced नहीं है. But this is one area where we are doing wonderfully. So we are like in the top 5 space sector developments. So this is one of the proudest technology sectors for India, and there is a lot of work being done here. And in terms of innovation, India is very, very advanced. We are doing the same things at a much cheaper price as compared to global standards. We are doing a much better job. We have achieved a lot of this indigenously on our own, and we've done that very quickly as compared to a lot of other nations who started much earlier, much before us. ठीक है? तो जैसे US ने तो 1970s में भी, we were going to talk about the Apollo missions, so they had a man in space, right? हमने तो 60s में start किया था, but still today in a lot of technologies we are at par. When it comes to questions which UPSC asks in space technology, they do give references of global endeavors also, because globally also whatever is happening, it's a big fleet, it's a big achievement. ठीक है? But जो global missions है, उसमें the main theme is कि किसका mission है, which country is involved in this mission. So we're going to talk about some highlights, some major missions in space technology globally, and then in reference to India. So the first thing is this is in news. Have you been following what is happening with Artemis 2? This is landed yesterday, right? Yeah. So अब ये क्या है? This is a mission which went to moon, and the significance is that this was a crewed flight. Crewed flight means human beings were also there on the flight. India has also sent a mission to moon, right? What is the name of the mission? India के mission का क्या नाम है? Chandrayaan, right? Chandrayaan 1, 2, 3 हो चुका, अभी 4 will happen. But many such initiatives have been happening, but this significance of this is that this is a crewed flight, and when you are sending human beings to space, that of course is a bigger advancement, bigger achievement. Now what this was supposed to do is, so it was launched, it will be launched from the earth, it will take a circle. So usually when you have to send something out in orbit, so they take multiple rounds so that slowly it can extend its path, and after completing its orbit here, this was supposed to circle the moon and then come back. So this has finally landed. It was a 9-day mission, and the first time a mission, a crewed flight, has gone on the other way around on the moon. इसको जो ये वाला मून का एरिया होता है जो हमें नहीं दिखता है, ठीक है, the far away region. So the specific thing is that for the first time human beings were able to see this far off region or far away region of the moon, ये दूसरे वाला side, and they crossed it and then they came back. Now in this, so there is no landing or anything, ठीक है, तो जिसमें landing नहीं होती उसको बोलते हैं fly away mission. So this was a flyaway mission. It's just taken a circle and then it has come back. There were 4 members on this specific spacecraft, and with their successful landing, this has really increased the interest on moon missions and what should I say, lunar exploration in that. इससे पहले जो last such initiative था, that was the Apollo missions, but that is already 50 years away. So 50 years के बाद एक attempt हुआ है फिर से sending man on moon or a flight to moon, which was a crewed mission. So that is the importance of this big initiative, second sending a crewed flight, and then of course this portion of circling the moon, the faraway region, and then coming back. When it is a human mission, there are some additional concerns which are there in that whole flight. Like हमारा चंद्रयान तो है, but the next step for us is also to plan a manned flight. Not first सीधा ही moon पे नहीं, पहले तो space में भेजेंगे, and we have a mission for that, which is the Gaganyaan mission. Right? You've heard about the Gaganyaan mission. It stays in news. They are testing different segments of this. So this Gaganyaan mission is going to be India's first crewed mission. इंडिया ने मार्स पे भी भेज दिया सैटेलाइट, मून पे भी भेज दिया, बट this is, there has been nothing which we have sent with human beings. What do you think will be different here? If you have to send a manned flight, तो क्या क्या चीजें आपको लगता है डिफरेंट होंगी या स्पेशल होनी चाहिए? लैंडिंग, ठीक है, सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम यही है, री एंट्री. So in terms of technology, we have to think on these aspects. So normally what you do is, you send something to space, you're sending a satellite to space, it stays there. There's no concern that you actually want it back. Okay, you can try bringing it back also. That's a technology which जिसमें हम बोलते हैं re-entry technology. पर अगर ह्यूमन बीन भेजा तो उसको तो लाना पड़ेगा, ठीक है ना? देयर इज नो चॉइस देयर, राइट? यू हैव टू ब्रिंग देम बैक, यू हैव टू ब्रिंग देम सेफली. सो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड री एंट्री में प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है? व्हेन समथिंग इज कमिंग बैक, समथिंग इज फ्लाइंग बैक, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ फ्रिक्शन अगेंस्ट द एटमॉस्फेयर. देयर इज एटमॉस्फेरिक ड्रैग and that produces a lot of heat. Like everybody has heard about the accident which Kalpana Chawla faced, right? So what happened was they went to space, but when they came back, there was so much friction, so much drag that the whole aircraft, it burnt. So that is a very big risk. तो अगर इंडिया को ये manned mission करना है, तो सबसे पहली चीज आपको जो perfect करनी है वो है re-entry mission. So re-entry में आपको speed कम करना पड़ेगा. The speed will have to be reduced, and then like she's talking about landing. The landing has to be very soft. अगर बहुत high speed में land होगा, ठीक है, let's say we've saved it from friction somehow, still it is going to crash with that speed कि ऊपर से कुछ गिर रहा है. So that is another damage. So they usually have parachutes which are hanging on so that they can just slow down the speed and safely land it. Preferably landing try करते हैं water में हो जाए, so that the impact below will not be there. But this is one specific thing which is being tested. कि re-entry हम कर सकते हैं नहीं. You will also need more fuel if you think about it. अगर आपको एक ही side का fuel देना है versus when you want to give fuel to come back also, right? कि वापस भी लेके आना है, उतना fuel लेके जाना है. It will also become a heavier vehicle, a heavier system. ठीक है, तो एक तो हो गया री एंट्री. और ह्यूमन बींग्स को और क्या चाहिए? या सो बेसिकली ह्यूमन लाइफ और हैबिटेबल कंडीशंस चाहिए, ठीक है? आपको एयर चाहिए, ऑक्सीजन चाहिए, आपको वाटर चाहिए, आपको बेसिकली प्यूरिफिकेशन सिस्टम्स चाहिए होंगे, आपको फूड चाहिए, right? And of course there is one concept which you have to specifically work around, which is conditions of microgravity. So there's less gravity in space. Like if you've seen any images of human beings in space, they are basically flying, floating around. So this is a very key aspect here, that how human beings will work there, how they will be able to manage that, how things will be managed there. So all of that. So ये additional चीजें हो जाती हैं. And in along with this, think about the aspect of space also. The satellite itself will become very huge. जो मॉड्यूल आप भेज रहे हो बहुत बड़ा है. Like the Gaganyaan mission which India is planning, that is going to have 3 human beings on flight. तो अब इतनी जगह तो चाहिए ना कि 3 लोग रह सकें. अब चिपक के तो नहीं रहेंगे, they'll have to move around also, even if it's light, but still. So the whole thing becomes really huge. So you need more space. You need to work around these things जो अभी तक आपने नहीं किया. आपको एयर फिल्ट्रेशन सिस्टम चाहिए, पानी कहाँ से आएगा, फूड कहाँ से आएगा. You need to work around all of that, and re-entry technology. So this whole thing is going to be bigger, heavier, and will need a lot of aspects which are still new. तो इसमें अभी बहुत सारा testing जो है that is happening. The idea is that you will have 2 parts to this. तो एक crew module होगा basically जिसमें crew रहेगा आपका, and नीचे एक service module होगा attached to it. So this whole thing will go in orbit, and this is the launch vehicle. So जो launch vehicle है, इंडिया का currently heaviest launch vehicle जो है, do you know the idea of launch vehicles? Which is the heaviest launch vehicle currently which India has? GSLV Mark 3. ठीक है, तो इसमें like if I extend the idea, so GSLV Mark 3 या फिर अब इसको नाम जो चेंज कर दिया लॉन्च व्हीकल Mark 3. ठीक है, करंटली इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा जो लॉन्च व्हीकल है वो ये. बट you will need to modify this when you are sending human beings to space. तो उसका जो वर्जन जो बनता है वो उसको बोलते हैं ह्यूमन रेटेड Human rated just means that in terms of safety potential, this is really enhanced. Plus, it will be becoming functional to hold a greater payload. Payload is whatever is going to be attached to the launch vehicle. तो इसको ज़्यादा weight लेना है, इसको ज़्यादा safety चाहिए, and this should be able to have all those parameters which are needed for human life. Overall, the system will be kind of modified for having human beings. ठीक है? In terms of again, this is something for GSLV in general only. कि इसमें जो fuel है, you understand the concept of fuel? So there is one solid fuel, there is a liquid fuel. 3 stages होते हैं, and you have a third one which is cryogenic engine. Now having this cryogenic engine is a very big technological advancement here. Cryogenic क्या होता है? Okay, cryogenic means extremely low temperature, sub-zero, right? And in this what we use is, we use hydrogen and we use oxygen. They're both, they are gases, right? You know that. And they are going to be liquefied. So liquid इनको बनाने के लिए you need to put in a lot of pressure. Under high pressure, they become liquid, and this is going to be the fuel. So अगर water, hydrogen or oxygen मिले, तो you get water. It's a very cleaner fuel in that sense, but the problem is achieving this cryogenic temperature, extremely low temperature, and the pressure which you need to exert over it, that is very, very difficult. And India wanted to use this for a very long time. They tried to get it from different countries. The technology was very expensive. Finally, Russia gave the cryogenic stage to India to use this. And after using it for some time, now finally we have made our own cryogenic engine. So currently जो GSLV Mark 3 में use हो रहा है वो इंडिया का अपना indigenous technology है, and very few countries in the world have cryogenic technology. So this is a very big advancement. This is the most advanced fuel which is present anywhere in the world. और GSLV Mark 3 में ये क्रायोजेनिक स्टेज है, और इसके अब जितने भी अपडेटेड वर्जन्स बनेंगे, जैसे ये ह्यूमन रेटेड LVM3 है, उन सब में क्रायोजेनिक स्टेज होगा. ठीक है. एक इसका मॉडिफिकेशन और है in terms of technology, which I want to tell you here only. There's something called semi-cryogenic. ये fully cryogenic है. Semi-cryogenic में ऑक्सीजन तो होता है, again liquid oxygen जो है, this is one part which is cryogenic, and second में they use a normal fuel, usually it is kerosene. So इसमें क्या है, cryogenic is very efficient, it will burn completely, it is very effective in that sense, but it kind of needs a lot of advancement in technology. तो इसमें अगर दूसरा fuel हमने नहीं डाला, so this part becomes a little easier, little lighter also it will be. So kerosene थोड़ा easily चला जाएगा, और सिर्फ एक part जो है liquid oxygen का होगा. We are developing a next generation launch vehicle. Have you heard about this? Which is going to be much heavier. Like current capacity which India has with its GSLV is maximum around 10,000 kilograms it can carry, the launch vehicle. पर अब हम एक और बना रहे हैं जो the estimate is, अभी बना नहीं है, but they say that around 3 times of this it can take. Payload 30,000 kilograms तक ले सकता है. That's the next generation launch vehicle, और इसमें semi cryogenic stage use होगी. But this is still very experimental, but this is like the next thing. The reason when you think about कि क्यों हमें ये चाहिए, because if you're planning manned missions, you will need greater payloads. So उसके लिए हमें ऐसा चाहिए जो और ज़्यादा weight जो है move कर सके. ठीक है? Okay, coming back to the mission. Now in this, of course, आप immediately तो human beings को नहीं भेज सकते, तो the first step, so in that trial mission, they're going to like try everything out. They are sending in a robot. Now doing this, so ISRO is going to launch a female robot. Her name is Vyomitra. So Gaganyaan mission के first step में a robot will go. So humanoid robot, looks like a human being. So this is just to test how everything will work around actual human beings, and then they'll send human beings. Now there are two significance of this kind of a technology addition. One is use of robotics. Okay, this is concept of using robots and robotics में this could be one of the application which you can think of. कि space exploration में you can use robots. And one very symbolic thing which they are doing is sending a female robot. Okay, of course, this is just kind of an inspirational, a model, motivational kind of thing to encourage female interest in STEM, in this kind of technology. ठीक है, तो पहले ये जाएंगी गगनयान मिशन में, and the government's plan is 2027. जो करंट अपडेटेड टाइमलाइन आया वो ये कि 2027 में ये मिशन भेजेंगे स्पेस में. ठीक है, फर्स्ट विद द रोबोट एंड देन विद द एक्चुअल क्रू. नाउ दिस पार्ट इज द ट्रेनिंग फॉर स्पेस, बट देयर इज ऑल्सो वन more mission which has involved an Indian astronaut to prepare for the Gaganyaan mission. So ये भी आपने सुना होगा, very recent initiative, Axiom 4. Have you heard about this? And there's this Indian astronaut, Subhanshu Shukla. So Subhanshu Shukla is going to be a part of the team which is going to Gaganyaan. ठीक है, तो जो गगनयान मिशन में इनको जाना है, और दिस इज काइंड ऑफ हिज ट्रेनिंग एंड फॉर ट्रेनिंग फॉर इंडिया ऑल्सो, बिकॉज इसरो पार्टिसिपेटेड इन दिस मिशन. एंड इसमें क्या है दैट, सो देर इज दिस यूएस कंपनी Axiom Space in collaboration with NASA, so the US Space Agency and SpaceX. You know about SpaceX? Elon Musk's company, very high when it comes to innovation in this space sector. And they sent in this mission of a lot of people from different, not a lot of people, 4 people from different countries. One of those countries was India, and they sent it to the International Space Station. Now, this was the first time an Indian went to the International Space Station. Do you know about an Indian who's earlier gone to space? Rakesh Sharma, है ना? Rakesh Sharma went on space. जैसे अब गगनयान जा रहा है ना कि 400 kilometers तक जाएगा फिर वापस आ जाएगा. This is space habitation. So there is an International Space Station, which is a collaboration of different countries, where different research and experiments, studying of microgravity, all of that happens. So he's actually gone to that place, stayed there, and then come back. But वो भी Rakesh Sharma was also 40 years ago. So अभी second ही Indian जो है गया है. Now, for this specific mission, one specific point which I really want to highlight is the launch vehicle which they've used. Falcon 9 was the launch vehicle. जैसे हमने Indian launch vehicles की बात करी है, ठीक है? तो ये जो है SpaceX का launch vehicle. And the very significant point in this is कि ये partially reusable है. Now, this is a technology which India is also trying to create. Reusable means like there are different stages of fuel. So what they do is you launch a satellite, it goes up, the first stage is burning, जो सबसे नीचे वाला part होता है वो पहले उसका fuel खत्म होता है, and then once that fuel is over, usually what happens is that ये जो stage use हो गई, it's simply thrown back or it stays in space or it gets burnt out, something happens to it, and then the rest of it breaks down from the first stage और फिर बाकी का rocket आगे जाता रहेगा. फिर second stage will burn, that is thrown out, then the third, depending on how many stages are there. Now, what they are doing is कि ये जो first stage है, ये थोड़ा सा ऊपर भेज के, ठीक है, satellite को launch करके, it comes back. They capture it again and they reuse it. तो ये जो Falcon 9 है, partially reusable means it's just the first stage, जो नीचे वाली stage है, इसको booster बोलते हैं. This can come back. And you have to actually go and see this video. It is so amazing. It does vertical landing. कि वो ऊपर जाता है और बिल्कुल वैसे ही नीचे आके खड़ा हो जाता है. It's doing vertical landing, and then with some, of course, some fixing is needed, some repair is needed, and then they can use it again on multiple flights. There is also another technology in which the reusable part or the reusable stage can come back through parachutes also. That kind of a landing could be there. Yeah, landing in water could be there, depending on different reusable technologies which are there. But this is one very significant point. What do you think will be the use of this technology? This I told you, India को भी ये बनाना है. क्यों? क्या फायदा है इसका? Cost effective. Yeah, cost effective है. If I can use the same launch vehicle again and again, it really brings down my cost. Right? And India is also making its own reusable vehicle. और इंडिया का डिजाइन तो बहुत ही इनोवेटिव है, जिसमें which is not being used anywhere in the world. So reusable launch vehicle, इसके multiple versions हैं. But it has a winged design. जैसे wings होते हैं उसके किसी हेलीकॉप्टर के या प्लेन के, उस तरह के विंग्स इन्होंने ऐड करें डिजाइन में. दिस इज अ वेरी बिग इंडियन जुगाड़. सो थ्रू दैट विंग्स इट्स गोइंग टू लाइक कम बैक लाइक अ हेलीकॉप्टर लाइक थिंग. को विंग्स का भी एक नेचुरल पर्पस होता है ना, फॉर दैट एरोडायनेमिक इफेक्ट टू हेल्प ब्रिंग थिंग्स बैक. सो दैट्स व्हाट दे आर ट्राइंग टू डू. और इसकी भी टेस्टिंग हो रही है, एंड दिस ऑल्सो स्टेज इन न्यूज इन दैट. बट this would really bring down the cost, and India is doing a great deal of work of launching a lot of satellites from other countries also as a business endeavor, as a commercial app, कि आप हमें दो, हम आपका satellite launch करेंगे. So उसमें when you want things to become cost effective, this would be very useful. Also there is a lot of private sector involvement which is happening now. A lot of startups are there जो अपना satellite बना रहे हैं, they are launching their own satellites. So in this also, if you have reusable launch vehicles, it really becomes very, you can really launch satellites very quickly also. Along with the cost, that's also an advantage. The time which will take to repair this versus the time which will take to, you know, create a whole new launch vehicle, that will be much less. So that's the advantages, and this is the next thing. UPSC में जब वो क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं तो यूजुअली क्वेश्चन इस टाइप का होता है कि दिस, लेट्स से देव आस्क्ड, मेंशन समथिंग लाइक कि रीयूजेबल लॉन्च व्हीकल विल was used in Chandrayaan 3. So the aspect which we need to be familiar with is कि ये अभी बन रहा है, बना नहीं है. That's how we can eliminate a lot of questions कि नहीं, ये अभी नहीं है, इंडिया के पास नहीं है. So that's the idea which you really need to keep in mind कि क्या develop हो चुका है, क्या use हो रहा है, and what we are still trying. ठीक है? Okay. Now, the next big mission. नहीं, I don't think that is the reason. ऐसा कुछ है कि 40 साल के लोग जाते हैं? शादीशुदा लोग इसीलिए जाते हैं कि उनको ब्रेक चाहिए होता है, ऐसा? No, I don't think there is any logic to the timing of this. It's just in terms of experience. जैसे these people who have been selected, they are from the armed forces, right? So they have some experience, they have some background, और एक level पे हैं कि हाँ कैप्टन बन चुके हैं. अब उतने में शादी हुई है नहीं हुई है, I don't think that's probably just incidental. Doesn't make a lot of difference. So भारतीय अंतरिक्ष स्पेस स्टेशन, इंडियन स्पेस स्टेशन, which we also इसको इंटीग्रेट किया है गगनयान के साथ ही, but the overall plan is 2025 तक, 2035 तक we are going to send this. What's the idea? What is a space station? क्या होता है space station? Like we have an international space station. Okay, now international space station is basically like a house where people go, they stay and they do research. Research क्या होगी? A lot of things work very differently when it comes to microgravity conditions. So living in that condition with less microgravity, you can do a lot of testing. You are testing how bodies works, you can test how plants will grow, you can have a better view of space, of the things around, the solar system, all of that. So, John, International Space Station, it's been more than 25 years since it's been in place, and a lot of work has been done there. But now that's going to retire very soon. उसको dismantle करेंगे. So a lot of countries are developing interest in sending its own space station. India is one of those countries. This is a very promising way for India to showcase that we are very advanced in our space research. So we can send our, we can create our own space station. Now in this also there are specific technology requirements which are different, which we need to understand. First of all, it's a large unit. Okay, so this cannot be launched all at once. ठीक है, आपको multiple times जाना पड़ेगा कि like it has 5 modules. जो इंडिया ने डिजाइन बनाया, it has 5 modules. So first one module will be launched, then the second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. They're all individually launched. That means कि ये एक तो multiple satellite systems चाहिए आपको, multiple launch missions चाहिए, and then you have to assemble it. Right? They have to all be connected to each other. Right? So this requires again new set of expertise, new set of technology, new kind of an experimentation this is. And there is this idea that in future there will be a concept of space tourism, space habitation. People will go and spend their retirement in space or something like that, you know. So giving way to that idea, more such research is needed. Or the first, like you are saying, docking experiment, the first such different or specific to this idea mission which has to be done, that is space docking experiment. Space docking or SpaceX, ये इंडिया ने successfully test कर लिया है for that भारतीय अंतरिक्ष mission. So what is this? You launch 2 satellites in space, and then you need a technology which will help them join to each other. ये सैटेलाइट दोनों स्पेस में आ गए, अब इनको एक दूसरे के पास आना है, and then they have to join. Connections will be developed. A lot of that will be automatic. Then you have robotic arms because you'll need screws and everything to tighten it up because ultimately human beings have to live in that. ठीक है? The plan is कि 3 months तक, 6 months तक लोग इस पे रह सकते हैं. So the design has to be very foolproof, and doing this, that can they come together and can they like move apart if needed? That is what we tested. That is what happened in the SpadeX experiment, and this we have successfully done. Okay? So this is one thing. Along with this, when it comes to this space station, there are a lot of advancements in terms of other things which we are again testing, which will be done. जैसे एक तो था next generation launch vehicle. This is going to be launched through the next generation launch vehicle which we talked about, the one with very high payload capacity, because these are going to be big payloads, so we need that. तो एक तो हम ये चीज़ बना रहे हैं. Second चीज़ जो इसमें use होगी नई, probably for the first time, is reusable launch vehicles. Because we have multiple missions here, so our goal is कि हम reusable launch vehicle probably, again ये सब चीज़ें अभी test हो रही है, अभी बन रही है. So the first time they would be used is probably in this particular mission. मैत्री तो लैंड पे है, हम तो स्पेस की बात कर रहे हैं. ये नाम ही तो है, भारतीय अंतरिक्ष स्टेशन, यही तो है नाम. नहीं नहीं, ये नाम ही है, ये मैंने नहीं दिया है, ये मोदी जी ने दिया है ये. ठीक है. Another thing which is going to be specifically used here, which I told you earlier also, is the semi-cryogenic engine. ये भी अभी testing stage पे है. All of these things are being developed, all of these things are being tested, would be applied when this is going to be in place. ठीक है. Now we come to the next area which we are talking about, which is defense technology. Yeah. No, we're not discussing everything here, right? We're just picking up some key aspects of different technologies, and that's what we are going to pick up. I gave you the basic idea of a vaccine. ठीक है. इंडिया बहुत सारे vaccines time and again बनाते जा रहा है. अभी recently डेंगू vaccine बनाया. That's what he mentioned. ठीक है. क्या? Fusion of reproduction? वायरस की एक स्पेशल प्रॉपर्टी होती है दैट वायरस इज नॉट अ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म कंप्लीटली. वायरस कैन नॉट एग्जिस्ट ऑन इट्स ओन, वायरस कैन नॉट ग्रो ऑन इट्स ओन, एंड द वायरस कैन ओनली ग्रो इन अदर सेल्स. सो दिस इज अ स्पेसिफिक फीचर. बैक्टीरिया इज अ कंप्लीट ऑर्गेनिज्म, उसको आप कोई भी न्यूट्रिएंट दोगे, उसको ग्लूकोज दोगे, इट विल स्टार्ट ग्रोइंग ऑन दैट. वायरस को आप सिर्फ ग्लूकोज दोगे, इट विल नॉट ग्रो. वायरस विल ओनली ग्रो व्हेन इट इज इनसाइड अनदर सेल. So wherever there is a comparison of other living organisms like bacteria or protozoa or fungus or plant or animal anything, virus will always be a distinct category. ठीक है. तो वायरस अभी किधर से आ गया भाई? डिफेंस कंट्री का, बॉडी का नहीं. ठीक है. Now in defense technologies there is a, I would say, the most critical need of indigenization. Why do we need to develop defense technologies? National security. ठीक है. आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी is the safest when you are creating it on your own, and as such India is one of the biggest importers of defense equipment in the world. Okay, second one, Ukraine has set us back now, and in this sense there is a lot of emphasis of indigenization, creating our own technology. And there are few key aspects which we are going to highlight here in this particular session. First is a basic idea which I'm sure you know. two major kinds of missiles. You have a ballistic missile and you have a cruise missile. ठीक है, क्या difference होता है इसमें? Okay, basically how you are fueling it or how you are powering it. So ballistic is आप यहाँ से fuel दोगे, fuel will start burning, it will move around, and then the rest of the journey, this rest of the parabolic path, it can just come down through gravity, अपने आप, ठीक है? You don't need to power it throughout its journey, and this also means that its target is going to be fixed. जहां से हमने लॉन्च किया वो डिस्टेंस, हाउ हाई इट गोज, दैट डिसाइड्स द टारगेट. सो दैट मीन्स अगर मूविंग टारगेट है, समथिंग विच इज मूविंग, दैट विल नॉट वर्क फॉर अ बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल. सेकेंड होता है क्रूज मिसाइल, विच इज पावर्ड थ्रू आउट इट्स जर्नी. वो पूरा कंप्लीटली पावर ड्रिवन है, and because of this it can change path, it can maneuver, and it will also work for a moving target in that sense. Okay, so these are the two main categories when we talk about missiles, and India's development of all these different kinds of missiles, whenever especially something new comes, there is testing which keeps happening, we need to know that. So we will highlight some of those aspects of a few of those endeavors. The first one is अग्नि मिसाइल. तो अग्नि मिसाइल अभी भी फाइनल कॉन्फर्मेशन टेस्ट हो रहे हैं. सो दिस इज इन न्यूज ऑल्सो. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ मिसाइल इज अग्नि? बैलिस्टिक और क्रूज? बैलिस्टिक, ठीक है. तो ये बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल है, एंड दिस इज अ सरफेस टू सरफेस मिसाइल. लैंड से जाएगी, दूसरी तरफ लैंड पे अटैक करेगी. इंडिजिनस टेक्नोलॉजी है, and this current edition is Agni 5. So we had Agni 1, we had Agni 2, we had Agni 3, we had Agni 4, we had Agni 5. The distance in all of these is the range which they have. What is the range of a missile? What do you understand by the range? How far it is going to go. ठीक है, that is the range. कि यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक कितना distance ये कवर कर सकती है, ठीक है. सो वी स्टार्टेड विद अग्नि 1 विच वॉज अराउंड 1000 kilometers, and now in this Agni 5, this is around 5000 to 5500 kilometers. This is the expected range. Of course, for security concerns, it's always suspected that maybe they are not telling the exact range also. That's also one angle when it comes to security defense equipment, कि ये हो सकता है इससे ज़्यादा भी हो, ठीक है. But this is the longest range ballistic missile which we have. ये हमारा सबसे advanced ballistic missile है, and इसको बोलते हैं intercontinental ballistic missile. So this range, like for satellites, how we name them, we say short range, long range, intermediate, and intercontinental. So when it is more than 5000, then it becomes intercontinental. ठीक है. So the idea here is that we have two extreme enemies which we don't get along with. One is China, one is Pakistan. So with this range, we should be able to tackle most of their cities. They'll come under our range. तो हम यहाँ पे बैठ के इसको deploy कर सकते हैं to hit specific targets on different countries. They'll come in our range. तो इसीलिए intercontinental ballistic missile. Now, in this, one advanced technology feature which is there is multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle. So there is this dedicated mission Divyastra, under which this was developed. और इसका क्या मतलब है? That this will have multiple weapons. Okay, this is believed to be nuclear powered. Of course, what weapons will be put in, that is not disclosed anywhere. But our understanding is कि nuclear weapons भी इस पर जो है fit होंगे, and multiple weapons होंगे, and there is a possibility that each of these can be launched from different points. Multiple re-entry, कि एक इधर गिरा दिया, एक इधर गिरा दिया, एक इधर गिरा दिया, and then finally the last stop. this is very dangerous in the sense that you can hit different targets. In your course, in your journey of 5,000 kilometers, you can be hitting multiple cities from your location. So that's a very big advancement which has happened, and a very significant innovation also when it comes to our ballistic missile systems. Okay, so Agni 5 अभी इस वक्त हमारा सबसे एडवांस्ड जो है ballistic missile है. Now UPSC sometimes frame questions on this. Like they had framed a question which was on Agni 4 and उसमें उन्होंने पूछा था कि 7500 किलोमीटर्स रेंज है इसका. ठीक है. Now these things are something which we need to focus on, which we need to remember कि 7500 वाला तो कोई नहीं है. Agni 4 क्या अभी तक भी हमारे पास we have no such missile which can claim to have this range. China does have some missiles where they specifically talk about कि this is 8000 or 8000 plus, right? हो सकता है इसका भी 8000 के अराउंड हो Agni 5 का, but 4 का तो definitely नहीं था, and for this also it's not the official statistic. Official statistic यही है कि ये intercontinental है, 5000 किलोमीटर से ज़्यादा है. ठीक है? And of course this special point of multiple entry targetable, multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle. Now this has been successfully tested. ठीक है. अभी ये use तो नहीं हुआ, but testing इसकी complete है. Now when we have missile systems, we also need a missile defense system, because other countries also give missiles, is also going to send missiles. So we have our own indigenously developed Indian ballistic missile defense system, जिसमें दो main मिसाइल्स हैं, मिसाइल या एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम्स हैं, पृथ्वी एंड अश्विन. सो जो ballistic missile defense system होगा, it's also basically going to be a missile only. It is also going to be a ballistic missile only. Just look at how this works. यहां से एक सैटेलाइट, एक मिसाइल आई, बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल, दूसरी साइड से आप एक बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल डालोगे तो बीच में फूट जाएगा. You are going to protect. So for every range you need to have a different ballistic missile system. So short range के लिए आपके पास ये है अश्विन, and this is next intermediate range. So intermediate range is 2000 kilometers and intercontinental is 5000 kilometers. So intermediate के लिए है पृथ्वी. So Prithvi Air Defense System, Ashwin Air Defense System, and we are developing one for intercontinental ballistic missiles. Currently we don't have it. ये अभी under development है, high altitude interceptor. So basically क्या है, इसमें हम atmosphere की denomination लेते हैं. We use this word endosphere and exosphere, which is in the height of 100 kilometers. तो जो 100 किलोमीटर से अंडर है आपको इंटरसेप्शन करना है वो एंडोस्फेयर हो गया, जो आपको 100 से ऊपर करना है वो एक्सोस्फेयर हो गया. सो एक्सोस्फेयर में हम पहुंच गए हैं विद पृथ्वी एडवांस डिफेंस एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम, बट जो इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल मिसाइल्स हैं उसके लिए अभी दिस इज स्टिल अंडर डेवलपमेंट. बट वी डू हैव सैटेलाइट्स विच वी हैव रिसीव्ड फ्रॉम अदर कंट्रीज विच वुड बी हेल्पफुल in covering things beyond this range also, and in terms of questions or understanding we also need to know about the ballistic or missile defense systems of other countries, especially in the current world scenario जहाँ पे यूक्रेन में भी war है और इजराइल में भी war है. So those things also stay in news. Of course when it comes to defense systems of other countries we don't expect a lot of details, but yes, like I told you earlier, we need to know कि कौन से country का कौन सा defense system है. So this is a few of the most commonly discussed defense systems in the world. So Russia का है S-300 and S-400. ये S-400 इंडिया के पास भी है. India has acquired S-400, so we are also using this. If you recall, abhi recently the in 2025 May के around, and there were a lot of drone strikes which were happening in Kashmir, in Punjab. So at that time ये S-400 use किया था इंडिया ने to neutralize the drones. तो बेसिकली ये जो है दिस कैन न्यूट्रलाइज ऑल एयरबॉर्न अटैक्स, जैसे ड्रोन होगा, हेलीकॉप्टर होगा, एयरक्राफ्ट होगा, मिसाइल होगा, ऑल ऑफ दिस दैट कैन बी यूज्ड. और इसका जो नाम है S-400 का, दिस इज कॉल्ड सुदर्शन चक्र, right? So now it's in India, so you've given it like an Indian name. So this, we say this is India's Sudarshan Chakra. It's supposed to protect us from those missile attacks. और ये long range में this works very well. So we actually had a deal with Russia for 5 of these systems, but only 3 have come. There is a delay because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict which is going on. So 2 are still left. We are still to receive that. And this again points out to the idea how important indigenization is, because otherwise you are left vulnerable, especially in the geopolitical situation which is happening in the world. फिर इज़राइल में आयरन डोम है, एंड यू हैव बराक 8. दिस बराक 8 ऑल्सो वी हैव. सो बराक 8 is actually a joint mission. So Israel and India both are developing this. It's a joint technology and both are using this also. So India के पास S-400 के साथ साथ ये बराक जो है, ये भी बराक 8 missile, this also we have. Then USA has THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. Then Patriot is another system. Then NATO. You know about NATO? What is NATO? It is a military alliance of a lot of American, European nations, and they also have their own defense system. It's called MEADS, Medium Extended Air Defense System, and China has Hong QI-9. ठीक है? Okay. वो यूज तो कर सकता है और कर भी रहा होगा. ऑफ कोर्स एवरीथिंग इज नॉट स्ट्राइकिंग इट, बट द पॉइंट इज कि समटाइम्स इट्स इंटरसेप्शन माइट बी अ लिटिल डिफिकल्ट, या फिर किसी और तरह से भेज रहे हैं या कुछ मिस होते जा रहे हैं. ये तो जितने भेज रहे हैं सब तो अटैक हो नहीं रहे होंगे, राइट? इट्स नॉट रियली अ वेरी परफेक्ट सिस्टम. कुछ तो मिस भी होंगे, कुछ तो जाएंगे भी, कुछ ट्रैक नहीं होंगे. डिफेंस में एक स्टेल्थ टेक्नोलॉजी भी होता है. यू अंडरस्टैंड स्टेल्थ? व्हाट इज स्टेल्थ? ठीक है, हाँ. स्टेल्थ इज अ डिसेप्शन टेक्नोलॉजी. तो मिसाइल्स है, एयरक्राफ्ट्स है, सब में ये टेक्नोलॉजी अब यूज हो रही है. और स्टेल्थ का मतलब होता है दैट द मिसाइल और द एयरक्राफ्ट विल हैव समथिंग विच विल प्रिवेंट इट फ्रॉम बीइंग डिटेक्टेड. That you are going to send in a radar, but it will not be detected. और जितना advanced system होगा उतना उसका stealth strong होगा, because not only are you supposed to be good in attacking, you also need to protect yourself. You also need to cover up or miss your detection so that you can go and hit. Next aspect is aircrafts. So for fighter aircrafts also there is a lot of work in indigenization, but currently most of the aircrafts which we have, we are getting it from outside. ठीक है, एयरक्राफ्ट पे भी कई क्वेश्चंस आए. एयरक्राफ्ट में क्या क्या एडवांस्ड फीचर चाहिए या क्या क्या प्रॉपर्टी चाहिए? एक तो स्टेल्थ हो गया, ठीक है, और मैन्यूवरिंग. मैन्यूवरिंग मीन्स हाउ वेल इट कैन मूव, राइट? देन स्पीड, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इंडिकेटर है स्पीड. हाँ, सेंसर्स कैसे होंगे, उसके कितना स्पीड होगा, उसका डिटेक्शन कितना अच्छा, उसका प्रोटेक्शन कितना अच्छा है, हाउ वेल इट इज गार्डेड. And these are the aircrafts, fighter aircrafts, combat aircrafts, which we are using in India. They are all supersonic. You understand this word supersonic? क्या होता है ये? Speed more than speed of sound, right? So advanced, and we have Sukhoi Su-30 MKI. This was Russia, but now it's being built in India. We got a licensing deal from them, and हम इंडिया में build करें जबकि उनका product है. Then Dassault Rafale, फ्रांस का है. Now Tejas is a completely indigenized aircraft. This is produced by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Then you have MiG-29, उसका एक upgraded version currently India में use हो रहा है, that is Russian. And what we are developing is advanced medium combat aircraft. This is the one which is under development. Now, based on all these properties of advancements which we need for spacecrafts, which we need for aircrafts, we usually mark them in generations. First generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, like that. So currently, ये जो India के जो हम use कर रहे हैं, they are all around 4 generation, 4.5 generation. But this one which we are trying to make, this is going to be the most advanced one. और ये है 5th generation. Currently, only US, China and Russia, there are only 3 countries जिनके पास 5th generation aircrafts हैं. ठीक है, एंड इंडिया में यही जो HAL है, दैट इज ट्राइंग टू डिजाइन इट, एंड दिस वुड बी आवर 5th generation. Again, a very similar line of questioning which UPSC asked. I think last year का एक question है where they asked, they gave 5 names of aircrafts and they asked कि इसमें से 5th generation कौन सा है. Again, a common knowledge which was needed was कि इंडिया के पास 5th generation नहीं है. ठीक है, 5th generation हमने अभी सोचा, हम प्लान कर रहे हैं, वी गोइंग टू क्रिएट इट, बट एज ऑफ नाउ इट्स नॉट देयर. ठीक है, ओके. वन मोर एस्पेक्ट in terms of technology advancements, in terms of warfare, which is happening is directed energy weapons. See, एक तो weapon होता है कि missile है, उस पे weapon है, you throw it, it goes and it hits somewhere, right? This is when you have energy concentrated in some way, like let's say laser. Everybody understands laser? ठीक है ना? तो वो लेजर जाएगा and from that high intensity energy the breakdown is going to happen or the damage is going to happen. And this kind of a technology India is very keen on developing. जैसे एक aspect जो है where it can be very useful is जैसे drones. Maybe there's a drone coming over Indian territory and it is not for attack. Maybe it's only for surveillance. But you don't want it to survey your area, so you have to knock it down. So for that, this directed energy weapons can be very, very helpful. And we are trying to develop a lot of different types of directed energy weapons, the most common ones being high energy lasers. और भी कई तरीकों से बन सकता है, but this idea you should know that okay, there's some technology where you have just the energy, nothing is going, no physical object is being sent anywhere, no weapon, no bomb is going to drop on any area, but this is a directed energy weapon. Then you have high power microwaves. माइक्रोवेव से कर सकते हैं, फिर उसके बाद मिलीमीटर वेव से कर सकते हैं. दिस इज जस्ट अ डायमेंशन इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंटेंसिटी ऑफ वेव्स. एंड particle beams, weapons, accelerated electrons and protons can be sent to inflict some kind of damage. Whatever is needed based on that, जैसे कि ये millimeter waves हैं, इनकी intensity बहुत कम होती है. So their use is listed in crowd control. That just as a deterrent. जैसे लाठी चार्ज करते तो उसकी जगह पे something like this could be used as a deterrent to spread the crowd or calm the crowd, something like. So mainly this would be like non-military purposes. जो ज़्यादा intensity वाले हैं जैसे high energy lasers, they would be for your military function. ठीक है? So this is another aspect. The last part is some specific technologies from areas of, first is quantum science and technology. So I feel there are questions due in these areas. In the last paper, they did ask a question on quantum, but this year the Nobel Prize is also on quantum technology. And there is a lot of interest. India mein there is a dedicated quantum mission also. So I feel question is in a sense due. Do you understand what is quantum technology? When it comes to understanding how matter behaves, so we usually think of matter in terms of particle. कि एक particle है, but when we study matter in deeper, in more details, in a smaller size, we find that matter is both waves and particle. So there is this idea in science that there are a lot of things which cannot be explained just by thinking that matter is matter is particle. जैसे सिंपल चीजें स्पीड, वेलोसिटी, ये तो हम ये सोच के कि मैटर जो है पार्टिकल होता है, we can understand, but their behavior at atomic levels, that we cannot understand. So this idea was brought in that there is wave particle duality. Matter can behave as a particle. Particle would be like, think of something like rainfall aa raha hai. But think of water in a water body that's going to move collectively as a wave. So this kind of a variation is where the concept of quantum science, quantum technology will come in. And the big application of this is that this can really advance a lot of sectors like building sensors, or the most significant one being in computers. The biggest revolution would be in communication in computers. Like in classical computers, you understand there's a concept of 0 and 1, जिसको हम बोलते हैं bits, ठीक है? So bits में idea क्या है? That the value of something is either 0 or it is 1. ठीक है? So it's one or the other. But in quantum, what happens is that we can have multiple values at one time. The value can be 0 or 1 or either of them. It seems a little abstract to understand this, but a very common example which is given here is that if I have a coin and if it's kept on the table, I would know which side is up. It's either the heads or it is the tail. ठीक है? पर जब वो मैंने अगर उछाला, ठीक है, when it is in space, till the time it comes down, it practically has both the values. क्योंकि 0 भी हो सकती है, 1 भी हो सकती है. वो जब नीचे आएगा तब या हेड होगा या टेल होगा. So this idea of both values existing creates a number of possibilities where many states are possible, and that really speeds up the whole idea of how things work. So based on this property, we tried to create computers, we tried to create systems, but they existed as very huge structures which needed extremely cold temperatures, very difficult to maintain, and because you need to keep them in this excited state. Once they come down, then the story is over. Then the quantum property is gone. So this as an idea, as a theory, has been very significant, but the next idea is to actually make it into something which is smaller and which can be used. Okay, if we study it, the problem with studying it was कि वो atomic level पे जाके study करना पड़ता था. So again, that needed to come up in a bigger size. And in this whole story, the recent Nobel Prize has done something significant in equating the quantum effects to electrical circuits. Okay, see, quantum is a very complex idea, so you cannot really expect to understand it in totality, क्योंकि अभी दुनिया में किसी को ही नहीं समझ में आया. Everybody is really trying. But you have to think about the application part. When UPSC frames questions, it frames it on applications. So application इसमें क्या है? That they have figured out that quantum effects can help in electrical circuits. And that they did by creating the aspect of superconducting materials. Okay, the idea which was explored, because I mentioned the Nobel Prize, and it is this year's Nobel Prize, so it's very important. So I'll just mention the two terms which they have used. One is tunneling. Tunneling means that in classical physics, how we would expect is when you throw a ball, the ball would come out. If there is a wall, I throw a ball, the ball comes back to me. This is the basic classical concept. In quantum, what they say is, you throw a ball, it passes the wall and goes. Crosses the barrier and leaves. अगर कुछ ऐसा हो जाए, तो वो quantum effect है. This they've possibly proved, और इसका सबसे simple example है radioactivity. जैसे अल्फा डीके. There's a nucleus and that will break down, alpha particles will come out and they will be able to pass through any barrier which is there. This kind of a concept is quantum tunneling. And this is what they want to apply to real life system to create some specialized superconducting material. And for the first time through these kind of research, they were able to create chips. They were able to create quantum processors. So just a quantum computer, which was earlier existing in a very big space, now they have created chips which can be used in smaller computing systems. And that is an advancement which is there. Last year, UPSC had also asked a specific question on a quantum chip which has been created by Microsoft. The question was simple. All they wanted was, so Marjona is the name of the chip. So they wanted for you to identify the quantum chip. But I personally think ये जो quantum वाला portion है, इस पे questions and ideas prelims में या mains में they are due. So this is something which we need to understand or think about or not miss out on. Especially because India has a very big initiative which has recently come up, the National Quantum Mission. Yeah, yeah. So any such facility which they create for research, the big advantage which will happen is that for those to come and set up is, उसको बहुत power चाहिए होता है. So that is why they kind of are setting it in places where they have a lot of area and power could be like confirmed कि हाँ हम आपको power देंगे, तो फिर उसमें आकर वो they'll come and set up. इसी में नोबेल प्राइज मिला है इस साल. पढ़े हैं तो सही पढ़े होंगे, ठीक है. वो सब वैसे यूएस में ही काम कर रहे हैं जिन जिनको मिला है, बट हाँ दे माइट हैव स्पेसिफिक ओरिजिन्स, राइट. हाँ, साइंटिस्ट के नाम यूपीएससी नहीं पूछेगा, ठीक है. याद भी नहीं होंगे ऑफ कोर्स, क्या यूपीएससी नहीं पूछेगा. यूपीएससी नहीं पूछता है अनलेस एंड अनटिल बहुत स्पेसिफिक कोई हो या कोई इंडियन साइंटिस्ट है, then of course there is a possibility, but otherwise हाँ बाकी आपको याद हो सकता है. So that's on you, right. Last idea, artificial intelligence. Now in this there is nothing like कि okay something specifically new has happened because it is very I should say divided. सब जगह इस पे काम हो रहा है, every sector it is getting into, right. But specific जो question है that would mainly be on applications. कि क्या यहाँ यूज हो सकता है, यहाँ यूज हो सकता है, यहाँ नहीं यूज हो सकता. So it was this question which UPSC asked in 2020 on artificial intelligence and they gave 5 things that which of these can be done by AI. Now when that question was asked, only 3 things AI could have done. Like there was one point, creating meaningful songs. That was one of the options, right? But today AI is at a place that it could do all those 5 things which they had listed. Okay, so the major zone here would be to understand what this is primarily on an overview, and there is no specific mention on anything happening in this, but just the broader concept of the terms which are involved. उस पे definitely question बनता है. तो ये जो है key terms है जो आपको पता होना चाहिए. Artificial intelligence क्या होता है? Copy कर लेता है. Okay. So artificial intelligence basically means that your computer system starts thinking for itself, has the ability to learn, has an ability to replicate how human intelligence works. Basic ideas are of logic, problem solving, those kind of intellectual abilities. When you can get a system, a computer system to do that, that's artificial intelligence. Now in that, there is this big interface of machine learning. That the machine or the system is capable of learning on its own. It can train, you give it data, it will keep learning from that. Like we use ChatGPT. So what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT has access to the internet. So it keeps going through all the pages, it learns from them. So whatever you ask it, it will tell you because it has learned from there. Within that, there is a portion of deep learning. Now, deep learning is a part of machine learning in the sense that in machine learning, we have to give instructions. कि okay, this is what you have to learn. But in deep learning, the learning can happen on its own. जैसे ये एक बहुत simplified version है to understand this. Let's say you want to create an application which will help you to identify cars. Okay, so input में you will give it pictures of cars. Then you will tell it कि these are the features of cars. कि ये फीचर स्टडी कर लो, ऐसे हाइट होता है, ऐसे कलर होता है, 4 व्हील्स होने चाहिए, ऑल ऑफ दैट, एंड देन इट कैन क्लासिफाई डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ कार्स. देन व्हेन यू गिव इट an input, it can tell you if it is a car or if it is not a car, once the system is trained on that. This is machine learning. In deep learning, you don't need to tell it what is the feature. Deep learning mein you just give the images, and from that images it identifies the features and it classifies the system on its own without you having to give any input. Then on its own it can tell you if it is a car or if it is not a car. ठीक है? So these are basic aspects of artificial intelligence. In terms of applications or misapplications, especially in Indian context, there's one idea of facial recognition which is very important. Any idea where facial recognition is used? Airports पे, आपके cell phones पे सबसे पहले, right? A lot of locks are there which will just open when your face is there, right? So this is an artificial intelligence system which is reading the features of your face, and based on that it can recognize. And a lot of that, like you're saying, in airports or other places, the government is also trying to integrate facial recognition technology in its system as a kind of a vital identifying method. Then in terms of misuse also, one example, one specific point I want to tell you, which stays in news also, which is deepfakes. You heard about deepfakes? Okay. So deepfakes is some kind of morphing which you do on pictures based on machine learning. Like if I have this video, or let's say I have 5 other videos on YouTube, and somebody takes my voice and then uses that voice and makes me say anything which they want me to say. ठीक है? तो वो मेरी वॉइस के पार्ट्स, जैसे जो जो वर्ड्स मैं बोल रही हूँ वो वर्ड्स ले लो, उससे रीअरेंज कर लो, that would be a deep fake using voice. या फिर facial features में you take somebody's face and you can change certain features and put another person's face on it. It's a very deep process. You need a lot of data, you need a lot of pictures to do that, but that can be done. A lot of actors, a lot of celebrities do bring out these complaints. This is not my picture. You've made some, Rashmika Mandana's case was there, you've made some obscene pictures with a deep fake. एक तो शैलो फेक, ये वर्ड कहाँ से आया? शैलो फेक होता था पहले. शैलो फेक क्या होता है? बेसिकली इसको ट्रिक फोटोग्राफी बोलते हैं. ठीक है? हाँ, जो इजीली पहले से करते थे कि फोटो पे किसी का फोटो लगा दिया, बट दैट यू कैन मेक आउट. This is through a series of data, through a very extended input of data. So this you can't identify. Like you might have something like Barack Obama singing a Punjabi song and dancing. So those kind of things which AI is possibly creating is one of like the negative aspects. And India may specifically, there is no specific regulation as of today to manage AI or problems which are coming because of that. So we have the IT Act that regulates most of it. It's a broader thing, not a very specific things. But anytime something like this happens, something is noted, so that automatically gets highlighted and the technology behind that automatically gets highlighted. हाँ जी. तांत्रिक बाबा के पास आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है. डीप फेक नहीं था, ओरिजिनल फेक था वो. ठीक है? ओके. सो इसमें ब्रॉडर जो है एरियाज में ही क्वेश्चंस बनते हैं. ठीक है? सो दिस इज these were some of those key technologies which I feel are very important, and this is something which you must remember. So I hope we were able to revise and this would be helpful for you from the point of view of the prelims exam. Okay? All the best. Thank you.